Good evening, everybody. Before I make a couple of remarks about our honoree tonight, I just wanted to ask you to pause for a moment and think about the incredible role DTE Energy is playing in the unbelievable transformation of our city. You know, Bedrock and Illich's get a lot of deserved attention, but if you look at Beacon Park, if you look at what they did with their front entrance, and you look at the continued investments DTE has made, they are really one of the great contributors to the city, so we need to acknowledge that. It's really great to be here at this Distinguished Citizen Award dinner, and this event is one of my favorites, in part because it really supports the Boy Scouts, and providing additional structure for our young people is just so critically important, and the Boy Scouts do it very well. And it's also a culmination of the tremendous amount of work by the great Lakesfield Service Council of the Boy Scouts of America and by literally hundreds of volunteers. And none of this would be possible without the people in this room, all of you who have contributed to this fundraising effort for this very great organization. So I also want to take a moment to recognize our key sponsors for tonight's event, American Axle and Manufacturing and TI Automotive. Thank you for your incredible generosity. The Boy Scouts appreciate it, and they will use those resources to make you proud. But tonight we're really here to honor a richly deserving leader, and leaders that truly inspire me. And I've been in leadership for, this is my 40th year, and so I've been a student of leaders for a very long time, and I've looked for certain key characteristics in leaders that I think really just are difference makers. The first is that they are passionate about what they do, and they recognize how many people are depending on them for doing it right. The second is that they hire great people, and I have gotten to know a lot of the executive team of DTE Energy, and Jerry has hired, promoted, and nurtured some outstanding executives. They understand that their role and its obligations extend beyond the boundaries of their company. They lead by a set of uncompromising values. They approach challenges and conflicts first with a sense of curiosity. They take their responsibility as a role model for young people with full commitment. And 7, they hold themselves and others accountable for making a positive difference. Those 7 characteristics of a leader define Jerry Anderson. And it is with great pleasure that I ask you to join me in congratulating him on our 2018 Distinguished Citizen Award. Please join me up at this podium, Jerry.
Thank you. Well, thank you, Bob. Those were very kind remarks. Aaron, well done. Those were great remarks that you made. And thanks to all of you for being here tonight, both in support of the Boy Scouts, but I'm also very honored as well. So I have to tell you, I really enjoyed touring those scouts around our headquarters here a few weeks back. I got questions that I don't normally get here at DTE. So for example, one of them asked me, Mr. Anderson, if a bunch of villains showed up at DTE and tried to bust down your headquarters and take over, what would you do? I said, actually, we have to have a plan for that, believe it or not. Well, this kind of questioning proved to be a bit of a theme for their visit, because it was when I took the group to our gas system control center, which is full of large digital screens and computers and high-tech controls, that I heard the comment, this looks like the Avengers headquarters. And when I showed the group of scouts our boardroom, which has a large round wooden table with a half a dozen video conferencing screens and a large circular overhead light that looks a little space-like, one of the scouts said, "Now this really looks like the Avengers headquarters." And then when I took the boys to my office with its view of downtown, the final boy said, "This really is the Avengers headquarters." And his buddy looked at me, and he smiled, and he turned his head to his friend and said, "We could overthrow him." And I laughed, and his friend responded, "The plans are already in motion." Which I thought was pretty good gumption for three kids who'd never met me before. But what they didn't know is that my vice chairman at DTE, Dave Meter, is an accomplished Eagle Scout, and he stands ready to defend me from their devious plot, so there'll be no takeover. Well, I was not an Eagle Scout, but three of my closest friends growing up, all of whom were my cousins, were all Eagle Scouts. And their father, my Uncle Dick, was an intensely committed scoutmaster. He considered it such an important way to mentor his sons, and in the process, a lot of other young men as well. And I spent countless hours with that family when I was growing up. My uncle was an important mentor to me as well. I was fortunate enough to be raised by great parents in a loving family. There are many scouts who come from a background like mine, blessed with mentors and surrounded by love. But there are also many who do not. Now, there's a lot written about the challenges faced today by so many of our young men who lack mentors and guidance and the support that they need. And in the face of this, the traditional mission of the Boy Scouts to provide our young men with a moral compass, to mentor them, and to give them principles to live by, that mission should be cheered. In my faith tradition, which was my compass as a boy, what is known as the greatest law calls on us to love our God with all of our heart and strength, and to love our neighbors as ourselves. And of course, that law is mirrored in the Boy Scout oath, which guides the Scouts to do their duty to God and to help other people at all times. Now, in teaching our young people how to make those admonitions real and practical in their daily lives, the Boy Scout organization is playing a vital and essential role, a role that's arguably more important than ever today. At DTE, we talk often about our responsibility to be a force for good in our communities. And I've learned that nothing motivates the people of DTE Energy more powerfully than helping to restore the health and the vibrancy of our city and of our region. There is so much positive happening in our community today, but there is also so much work left to do if we are going to ensure that all of our citizens participate fully in this recovery. Bringing this community back to full strength, restoring the full vibrancy of our region will require many shoulders. And perhaps the most important efforts to which we can lend our shoulders are those that provide mentors for our youth, learning experiences for our youth, healthy challenges for our youth, and guiding principles that our young people can live by. The Boy Scouts does all of those things And for that, we owe the organization a debt of gratitude. Again, I really appreciate your recognition tonight. I'm honored and I'm flattered that you're here this evening. And please, please keep up the good and important work of the Scouting organization. Thank you so very much. I appreciate it.